Hello there, my name is Duncan. Welcome to Unity Reviews, where this week I'll be reviewing the American comics which were released on the 3rd of December 2014. First up, we're going to be talking about Batman Eternal issue 35, which takes place after the fight with Hush and shows that repercussion, what it has on Batman. I love stories where Batman is pushed to the limit, and I feel like that's what Batman Eternal is doing right now, because we're seeing an interesting kind of Batman. You know, Batman without his money, which could be a unique change for the character and could reveal a different side of Batman. No, obviously, no matter how brief it is, I just feel like people are always talking about how they relate to Batman because he's a real man Batman because he has no powers, but even more so with the omission of his money, Batman will be more of a everyday kind of guy. Lucius Fox even at one point says, "As of 6 days ago, I am roughly worth 8 times as much as you are on paper." Also a note on Lucius Fox, he's now under the control of Commissioner B.P.R.D. Also throughout this issue, we see Vicky Vale doing some research which reveals about Commissioner B.P.R.D, his determination, I guess. And that's sort of a underlying factor of this issue. A couple of developments. Hush is in the Batcave with Julia Pennyworth at the moment, and I just love the direction where this is going, and I love just having a team of writers who are delivering a Batman title to us weekly. I think it's a really fun experience to be having something like that going on. So right now I'm going to be going into some theory crafting. So it's not necessarily spoilers, it's just what I think is going to happen as Batman Eternal progresses. And so if you don't want to be spoiled, skip ahead and I'll be talking about some other kind of comic. I think there's 2 possible big baddies, because what was revealed recently is that Hush is not the main villain of Batman Eternal. I think maybe only one of them might appear, or they both might appear, in succession of one another. Main villain number 1, I think, could be Lincoln March, if you remember the guy at the end of The Court of Owls, who could potentially be Batman's, estranged younger brother, Thomas Wayne Jr. Why do I think it's him? Because on the promotional picture for Batman Eternal, there's a little owl in the background and like up in a tree, and when Batman is asking Hush, "Who do you work for?" he keeps going like, "Who do you work for? Who? And which is a little bit of a hint there, like an owl sound of it, obviously, which would be a cool little twist, I reckon, to have it turn out to be Lincoln March. Brings some momentum to the character, I feel. The second villain, I think, that could be the main antagonist of Batman Eternal is the Joker, because the Joker is allegedly back in the events of Scott Snyder's New 52 Batman in the story arc Endgame. Hush actually says to Batman in last issue, "You won't even make it to the Endgame," which I'm wondering, are there some ties there, some correlation between Snyder's Endgame and Batman Eternal. Next up, I'm going to be reviewing Secret 6 issue 1, came out this week. I remember picking up paperbacks of the pre-New 52 Secret 6 titles, and when I was younger, and really enjoying that. So, for fans of the team, Gail Simone is writing again. So, same creative mind, could potentially give the same vibe to the book, so there's nothing to complain about there. It's very exciting. Secret 6 issue 1 shows some very strange predicaments for the characters in this book. At first we followed Catman, who gets into an argument with some guys at a bar who, allegedly claim to be ATF. And then he wakes up in a room with other villains. The art was interesting. I know it might not be for everybody, but I think it created a unique aesthetic to the book. Overall, a good setup for a Suicide Squad, Thunderbolts, superior foes of Spider-Man. I don't know, just kind of like a villain team-up book. Those are always an interesting dynamic between how villains work together and interact. So that's fun to have. So I really enjoyed this issue. I also read New 52 Future's End issue 31. This book has always been kind of a slow build, you know, kind of incremental, building up towards larger events. This issue was kind of resolving matters with the death of Jason Rush, one half of Firestorm, and it also displayed Lois Lane's declaration against Brother Eye, calling the company who is associated with Brother Eye war criminals. We also see Green Arrow chilling out with Animal Man, because yeah, they are just kicking back. I think for this issue, the ending was the most interesting part of the book for me. A couple of issues back, when Madison first became one half of Firestorm, I know it's a future world and everything can happen, so they can play around with the characters, but that was really cool to me. The ending shows Firestorm flying past a sad Cal, aka Tim Drake, and without him noticing, and showing that there's kind of an ending to their relationship, I guess, or, you know, that kind of tragic thing going on. So yeah, definitely a slow build moving towards future issues. Hellboy and the B.P.R.D. issue 1. I loved reading Hellboy when I was younger. This book covers his first mission with the Bureau of Paranormal Research and Defense, I believe. I suppose I shouldn't have expected to see Abe and Liz, etc., but I don't know, it just for some reason kind of did, so I was surprised to see they're not in the book just yet. It had a very typical Hellboy feel to it, you know, with the priest haunting in a house. It was just a good feel to the start of this book. I'm also happy Mike Magnola's writing it, so we're gonna, you know it's gonna be fun. This week I also read Wolf Moon issue 1, which is part of the Vertigo imprint. It's written by Cullen Bunn, I believe I'm pronouncing his name right, and with this writer I love what he's doing with Magneto at the moment. When I see his name on the book, I thought, oh, I'll give it a try. To be honest, for a book about werewolves, or singular werewolf, Wolf Moon was a lot more interesting than I actually thought it would be. We have one character say, in the wild, wolves hunt to survive, whereas werewolves, they hunt for pleasure. And this leads into us knowing why this is an unnatural creature, and I like that. Because of course we would think of a werewolf as an unnatural creature, you know. And so that was a nice little neat feature to the story, and, you know, the depiction of what a werewolf is. There's also this complexity between separating what is the werewolf and what is the person, because, you know, they're obviously different entities inhabiting the same body. With every cycle of the moon, the werewolf passes from one host to another, seemingly arbitrarily, which is why it's no use talking to the person who's been transformed after, I don't know if transformed is the right word, but after they've had that experience of being a werewolf, because they're not going to remember anything. They're a completely different entity. So that was very cool, just seeing a werewolf as a body-jumping, kind of symbiotic creature. So I actually really enjoyed this book. Next up, Inhuman issue 9. Believe me, I understand, I should know by now that Inhuman is Medusa's book, and it's, you know, Marvel's little clever way of pushing the Inhumans as being very important, you know, as they come into their role for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But for me personally, I'm just always patiently waiting for Black Bolt to show up when I read this book. I know we got him in the last issue, and we saw that stuff between how he's been involved in the Illuminati, in New Avengers, and there's that conflict going on between him and his brother Maximus. But I was definitely feeling the Black Bolt hype last issue. I just miss him in this issue. Moving on from that, so what this issue actually covers, rather than absence of Black Bolt, is mainly how Medusa has been affected by the inversion from the events going on in Axis right now. Overall, okay issue, needs more Black Bolt. Finally, Grayson issue 5. We open with a scene where Dick Grayson and Midnighter are delivering a baby. Yeah, you heard me right. I'm not kidding. On a helicopter, moreover. What happens is the helicopter crashes in the middle of nowhere. The mother dies. Grayson, Midnighter, and Helena, they have to walk through a desert kind of area for 200 miles, days on end, before they can finally find shelter and be rescued. Along the way, Grayson tries to protect the baby, whereas Midnighter is very persistent about how he is going to outlast the others. As in they will die before him, and then the baby shall be his. Very sinister, very creepy. Overall, he actually can't endure as much as Dick Grayson, even though he keeps saying, I have enhancements, I have powers. Dick's determination actually carries him further than Midnighter's enhancements. So Grayson ends up walking 10 days with the baby before finally being discovered by an Arabic family who, prayed, they always wanted a baby. And that's literally all that happens. Midnighter and Helena are recovered because they both fell back while, Dick kept walking. And the baby escapes the clutches of Spiral. What I mean by that is the idea was that Spiral wanted the baby because of some powers it possessed. And we actually see that with the last panel. The baby is crushing this cell phone in his hand, and so there's that. Maybe I missed something from last issue about the significance of this child. I don't really remember anything about a baby in the last issue. I love Dick Grayson. I love Carl Higgins' run on Nightwing before this. I've given this book Grayson a go because I know at first this is the kind of book that people will be pretty hesitant about, changing the mythos of the character or something. And for the most part, it's been a pretty fun, interesting change so far. And I've tried to embrace that. But this issue was kind of silly. Dick walks for over 200 miles for 10 days with, little or no food or water, all the while managing to keep a baby alive. Just imagine how much a newborn baby would need to survive, all the nurturing and whatnot, and this is, it was just a bit silly. Anyways, that's all I have this week. Thank you for watching. If you liked anything that I had to say, please like or comment, subscribe. I'm trying to get this channel started up, and check back next week for more American comic book reviews. Thanks.